She said she was just out with the girls. I found her grinding on strangers at 2 a.m. Never thought I'd be posting here, but my life has officially turned into the kind of nightmare people tell stories about to warn others. I'm Ryan, 35. My wife, Chloe, 34, and I met in our mid-20s back when life was nothing but bars, music, and cheap drinks. She was that girl, the one who could own a dance floor, who laughed the loudest, who made every room turn its head. And I was smitten. Hell, everyone was. But somehow she chose me. We burned hot. Wild weekends, stumbling home at sunrise, living like tomorrow didn't matter. When we hit our 30s, though, I thought it was time to slow down. We got married, had kids, bought a house. I thought we'd both traded in that wild lifestyle for something steadier. I was wrong. See, while I leaned into fatherhood and providing, Chloe never really let go of the star role. At first it was occasional, a girls' night out, nothing major. But then the nights got later, the excuses got thinner, and I found myself putting the kids to bed alone, wondering where the hell my wife was. Sometimes, I'd drive around looking for her. More than once, I found her at a bar, in some guy's arms, grinding on the dance floor like we were still 24. When I confronted her, she'd just laugh, kiss me on the cheek, and say, "Ryan, it's just dancing. Stop being so insecure." And like a fool, I believed her. I told myself she just needed to blow off steam, that she'd come home to me, that I was still the man she loved. But her disappearances got longer, more frequent. And the knot in my stomach got tighter. I didn't know it yet, but I was on the verge of uncovering just how deep her betrayals went. And trust me, it wasn't just dancing. Any Friday night, Chloe said she was going out with the girls. I tucked the kids in, sat on the couch, and tried to ignore that sick feeling in my gut. By 11:30, I still hadn't heard a word from her. So I drove. I knew the places she liked, neon dives with sticky floors and bad DJs. Sure enough, her car was parked outside one of them. I walked in, the bass rattling my chest, and scanned the dance floor. There she was. My wife. In a short black dress I hadn't seen before, legs wrapped around some guy while he held her against the bar. His hands weren't just dancing. His hand was sliding up her thigh, under her dress, while she tilted her head back and laughed. And then I saw it, he kissed her neck, and she didn't just let him. She pulled him closer. It wasn't some harmless dance. It wasn't blowing off steam. It was foreplay in public. My stomach dropped. I stood frozen for a second, torn between rage and heartbreak. Then she spotted me. Her eyes widened, but instead of shame, I swear I saw annoyance. She pushed the guy back and marched over. "Ryan? What the hell are you doing here?" She snapped, like I was the one caught. I choked out, "What do you think you're doing, Chloe?" She smirked, actually smirked, and said, "Relax. It's harmless. You're embarrassing yourself. You seriously followed me here?" The guy behind her looked confused, like he just realized he'd been making out with someone's wife. Chloe, though? She didn't care. She leaned in, whispered in my ear, "Don't make a scene." And then, like it was nothing, she grabbed her drink and went back to the bar. That was the night I knew. It wasn't just my imagination. She wasn't mine anymore. When Chloe finally stumbled in that night, it was almost 2 a.m. I was sitting at the kitchen table, lights on, waiting. She tossed her purse down like nothing was wrong. "Oh my God, Ryan, are you seriously waiting up for me? You're acting like my dad." I clenched my fists. "I saw you, Chloe. Don't even try to lie. I watched that guy's hands all over you. I saw you kiss him back." She rolled her eyes, poured herself a glass of water, and said in the bitchiest tone I've ever heard, "So what? It was just fun. You're blowing this way out of proportion." "Fun?" I snapped. "You were practically dry humping him in front of 100 people. Do you have any respect for me? For our family?" She slammed the glass on the counter. "Oh, here we go. Mr. Perfect husband who never goes out, never does anything fun, always wants to play the responsible dad. Do you know how boring you've become? Do you have any idea how suffocating it is being married to you? That one cut deep. Because I'd sacrificed everything for our family, the late nights, the parties, the fun lifestyle. I traded it all for stability, for her, for our kids. And here she was, mocking me for it. I told her, if you're so miserable, why don't you just leave? She laughed. Please, Ryan. You think you'd make it without me? You'd fall apart in a week. You need me. That was the moment I realized the truth. She wasn't just careless. She wasn't just reckless. She was cruel. She enjoyed making me feel small, like my loyalty and hard work were weaknesses instead of strengths. And instead of being sorry, she wanted me to believe this was my fault. That's when the anger started burning in me, hotter than the heartbreak. After that night, I couldn't shake the image out of my head, Chloe pressed against that guy, laughing, letting him touch her like she was single. And worse, the way she looked at me like I was pathetic for caring. I started questioning everything. Was I really that boring? Had I turned into some dull dad while she stayed young and fun? I'd stand in front of the mirror in the mornings, tugging at the extra weight around my stomach, wondering if that's why she'd stopped touching me in bed. Wondering if I'd somehow let her down by not being enough. And every night the same routine, putting the kids to bed alone, sitting in the quiet house, listening for the sound of her car pulling in. Some nights she came home smelling of smoke and cheap cologne. Other nights she'd crawl into bed without a word, like nothing was wrong. I couldn't even talk to my family about it. My mom would have been crushed. My brother Luke always warned me Chloe was too wild to settle down, and I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of being right. So I kept it all inside, carrying the humiliation like a weight on my chest. And Chloe? She leaned into it. Started mocking me in little ways. If I called to ask when she'd be home, she'd sneer. What are you, my parole officer? If I got upset, she'd roll her eyes and say, God, Ryan, stop being so dramatic. No wonder I need a break from you. That was the worst part. Not the cheating. Not the lies. It was how small she made me feel. Like I wasn't a husband, not even a man, just some background character in her fun lifestyle. I didn't realize it yet, but I was at rock bottom. And soon I was going to find the proof that shattered everything for good. The breaking point came on an ordinary Tuesday night. Chloe was in the shower, her phone buzzing nonstop on the nightstand. Normally, she kept that thing glued to her hand, face down, password protected. But this time, she'd slipped. I don't know what possessed me, anger, desperation, maybe just the need to finally stop being the fool. I picked it up, tried a few guesses. Birthdays, our anniversary. And on the third try it opened. My stomach sank before I even read the first message. There were threads with multiple men. Not one. Not two. Multiple. Flirty texts, late-night sexts, explicit photos I didn't even recognize as her because they looked like some stranger. And worse, plans. Meet me after work, hotel at 9, can't wait to taste you again. I scrolled for what felt like hours, my hands shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. It wasn't just bar flirting. It wasn't just dancing. This was full-on affairs. Plural. When she walked out of the bathroom in her towel, humming to herself, I couldn't even look at her the same. Enjoy your shower? I asked, holding up her phone. Her eyes went wide for a second, then narrowed. And instead of shame, she went straight to bitch mode. You went through my phone? Are you kidding me? That's a total violation, Ryan. I laughed, bitter, broken. A violation? Chloe, you've been screwing half the town while I put the kids to bed. You think you get to lecture me about privacy? She snatched the phone from my hands, furious, but I'd already seen enough. Enough to know she'd been living a double life. Enough to know every excuse, every "you're just insecure" was a calculated lie. And enough to know the woman I married, the girl who once danced like the world revolved around her, had turned into someone I didn't even recognize. The truth was out. And I wasn't going to let her bury it again. When Chloe realized I'd seen everything, she didn't crumble. She didn't apologize. She attacked. God, Ryan, you're pathetic, she spat, pacing the bedroom with her phone clutched like a weapon. You sit at home every night, whining about being tired, while I'm out actually living. Do you know how boring you are? How dead you've become? I stood there in shock. Boring? I've been raising our kids, working full-time, keeping this family from falling apart while you sneak out like a teenager looking for attention. She rolled her eyes, dripping with disdain. Oh, please. You think changing diapers and paying bills makes you some kind of hero? Newsflash, women want excitement. I want passion. You don't give me that anymore. I shouted. So you find it in hotel rooms with random men? That's your solution? And then she said the line that seared itself into my memory forever. At least they make me feel alive. You make me feel trapped. I felt like she'd stabbed me. All those years of sacrifice, of trying to be the rock she could lean on, and she called it a cage. I told her, You've destroyed this marriage. You've destroyed me. And the worst part? You don't even care. She smirked, cruel and unrepentant. Maybe you should have thought about that before you turned into such a loser. That was it. The last ounce of denial drained out of me. She wasn't going to change. She wasn't sorry. She was proud of it. And for the first time in years, I stopped begging for her love. I started thinking about how to make her pay. After that fight, something inside me snapped. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I'd get the kids ready for school, plaster on a smile, then sit in my truck in the driveway for an hour because I couldn't face walking back into the house with her there. Every word she'd said replayed in my head, boring, trapped, loser. I started to believe it. I'd look at myself in the mirror and think, she's right. Who would want me? I even considered calling my brother Luke, the one who never liked her, but pride stopped me. I didn't want to hear. Told you so. One night, after tucking the kids in, I sat on the edge of the bed staring at Chloe's side, her makeup scattered, her perfume heavy in the air. She waltzed in at midnight tipsy, grinning at her phone. Didn't even notice I was awake. That's when it hit me. I was invisible in my own marriage. And if I stayed, I'd keep rotting away until there was nothing left of me. But rage has a way of lighting the dark. I remembered the years she mocked me, the times she left me to play dad while she played single, the smirk when she told me I was lucky she hadn't left me already. And for the first time, instead of feeling crushed, I felt something else. I wanted revenge. Not the childish kind. Not screaming matches or breaking things. I wanted to ruin the perfect little image she thought she had. The fun, free-spirited mom everyone envied. I wanted people to see her for who she really was. And once that thought took root, I couldn't let it go. Once I decided I wasn't going to let Chloe keep playing me, I got smart. I started gathering everything. Screenshots of texts. Photos she'd sent. The hotel receipts that popped up in our joint credit card statement. I even put a voice recorder in my truck's glove box one night and drove her car the next day, picked up a full conversation between her and her friend bragging about hooking up with 2 guys in the same week, while I was stuck at home with the brats. That one nearly broke me. Not because of the cheating, I already knew about that, but because of the way she referred to our kids. Our kids. Like they were just obstacles to her fun. Every time I added another file to my folder, my anger hardened into resolve. I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. She'd spent years making me feel like I was the problem. That I was boring, dull, a loser dad, who couldn't keep up with her star power. But when I was done, everyone, her parents, her friends, maybe even her bar crowd, was going to know exactly who Chloe really was. And she wouldn't be able to laugh her way out of it. Not this time. The chance came quicker than I expected. Chloe's parents were throwing a big family dinner at their house, anniversary party, relatives in town, the whole 9 yards. Chloe was giddy about it, already bragging to me about how she'd look like the perfect wife and mom in front of everyone. I smiled and played along. Inside, I knew it was going to be the night her spotlight burned out. Halfway through dinner, after her dad made a toast, I stood up and tapped my glass. Everyone went quiet. Chloe grinned like she thought I was about to gush about her. Instead, I pulled out my phone, hooked it up to the TV in the living room, and started the slideshow. First came the screenshots of her texts. Explicit, filthy messages to other men. Then the hotel receipts. Then the photos she'd sent, things nobody at that table would ever unsee. Finally, the audio clip of her laughing about me being stuck at home with the brats. Gasps. Forks clattering. Her mom's face strained of color. Her dad shouting, "Chloe, what the hell is this?" Chloe sprang up, furious. "Ryan! What the F*** are you doing?" Asterisk. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Showing everyone the real you." She tried to spin it, screamed about how I invaded her privacy, how I was twisting things, but it was too late. The evidence was right there. Her brothers wouldn't even look at her. Her mom left the table in tears. Her dad muttered, "You've disgraced this family." And Chloe? For the first time since I'd known her, she didn't look like the star. She looked small. Exactly how she'd made me feel for years. The days after that dinner were chaos. Chloe stormed out of her parents' house the night of the exposure, cursing me, cursing them, saying we were all jealous of her. But the damage was done. Her phone started blowing up, not from men chasing her, but from friends and family cutting ties. Her sister posted a cryptic Facebook status about women who throw away their families for cheap thrills, and everyone knew exactly who she meant. Even the bars she loved weren't safe anymore. Word traveled fast in our small town. People whispered when she walked in, pointing, laughing. The attention she used to thrive on turned into ridicule. Her mom refused to take her calls. Her dad told me privately, "I don't know who she is anymore. She's not the daughter I raised." And the men? They disappeared. None of them wanted to be the guy who stuck around after her life blew up. She went from being the fun, hot bar star to the woman everyone wanted to avoid. Meanwhile, I felt lighter. For the first time in years, the humiliation wasn't mine to carry. It was hers. Chloe tried to come at me with rage. Showed up at the house one night, banging on the door, screaming, "You ruined me! Do you know what people are saying about me?" I opened the door, calm as stone, and said, "No, Chloe. You ruined yourself. I just turned on the lights." She left sobbing. And I didn't feel sorry. Not one bit. Because after years of being made to feel small, I finally saw her for what she was, weak. After the exposure, I wasted no time. I took my folder of evidence, screenshots, receipts, audio recordings, and handed it to my lawyer. He flipped through it slowly, then looked up and said, "She's finished. We'll make this quick." Filing was brutal, but not in the way I expected. Chloe didn't show up sad or apologetic. She walked into mediation in a short skirt and heels, smirking like she still had leverage. She started with her performance. "Your Honor, my husband is controlling. He stalked me. He humiliated me in front of my family. He's making up lies because he's insecure." My lawyer calmly slid the packet across the table. Texts, photos, hotel records. And an audio recording of her bragging about cheating and neglecting the kids. The judge skimmed for 10 minutes, then sighed. "Mrs. Williams, I suggest you drop the act. The evidence is overwhelming." Her smirk vanished. She tried one last Hail Mary, snapping at me. "You'll never survive without me, Ryan. You need me more than I ever needed you." I leaned back, steady for the first time in years, and said, "Funny. That's exactly what you said before I proved you wrong." By the end, I got primary custody of the kids, the house, and financial support. Chloe got visitation rights and a reputation in ashes. Walking out of that courthouse felt like shrugging off a weight I'd been carrying for a decade. The marriage was dead. But I was alive again. The first night after the divorce papers were signed, it was just me and the kids in the house. No Chloe stumbling in at 2 a.m., no shouting, no perfume cloud lingering in the hallway. Just quiet. And strangely, it felt peaceful. Of course, the kids had questions. My oldest, Emma, asked why Mommy didn't live with us anymore. I knelt down, heartbreaking, and told her, "Mommy made some choices that weren't good for our family. But you and your brother are my whole world, and I'll always be here." She hugged me and whispered, "I like it better when you put us to bed." That cut deep. Because it hit me, they'd been living in the chaos too. Chloe's absences, her moods, the tension in the house, it wasn't just me carrying that. They felt it. So I threw myself into being dad. Packed lunches with silly notes. Weekend camping trips. Movie nights with popcorn and blanket forts in the living room. And the crazy thing? The house felt lighter. Happier. Without Chloe's drama, the kids actually laughed more. They slept better. Even their teachers noticed they were calmer in school. I started to realize I hadn't just freed myself. I'd freed them too. For years, Chloe made me believe I was boring. But to my kids, I was safe. I was home. And that meant more than any nightclub or bar spotlight ever could. For the first time, I stopped asking if I was enough. Because when I looked at my kids' faces, I knew I was. Once the dust settled with the divorce and custody, I realized I had two choices: stay stuck in bitterness or rebuild. So I started small. Therapy first. Sitting in that office, saying out loud, "My wife cheated on me with multiple men while I raised the kids alone," nearly broke me. But each week, the weight got lighter. I learned something big. Her choices weren't about me not being enough. They were about her never being satisfied with anything real. Then I picked up hobbies. My dad used to be a carpenter, and I'd always admired the way he could make something from nothing. I dusted off his old tools in the garage. At first, it was rough, crooked shelves, uneven cuts, but then I built a table for the kids, and their smiles made me feel 10 feet tall. Fitness followed. Instead of numbing myself with late-night beers, I started running. At first I couldn't make it half a mile without feeling like my lungs were on fire. Now, I can crank out 3 miles without blinking. Every step feels like I'm pounding out the anger, leaving it on the pavement. And the more I rebuilt myself, the more I realized Chloe's words were lies. I wasn't boring. I wasn't a loser. I was a man who had carried a family on his back while she partied like she was still 21. The broken version of me died with that marriage. What rose up in his place? Someone stronger. Someone free. About 6 months after the divorce, I did something I hadn't done in years. I booked a trip. Just me, no kids, no schedule, no responsibilities except to exist somewhere new. I went to Colorado first. Mountains, crisp air, trails that kicked my ass but reminded me what it felt like to be alive. Then a buddy from high school invited me to visit him in Florida, and I spent a week fishing, drinking beers on the dock, laughing until my stomach hurt. Chloe used to sneer at the idea of travel, saying I wouldn't appreciate it. Turns out, she was dead wrong. Every new place I visited chipped away at the old version of me, the one she'd convinced was too boring to live fully. Back home, I kept the momentum going. Signed up for cooking classes. Started hiking with my brother Luke every weekend. Took the kids to a water park and actually went down the slides with them instead of standing on the sidelines. For the first time in years, I wasn't living in Chloe's shadow. I was living for me. And the wildest part? I was happier without her than I ever was with her. The drama, the gaslighting, the late nights waiting for her car to pull in, all gone. Replaced with peace. With laughter. With a future I could actually picture without feeling sick. I wasn't the man Chloe said I was. I was better. It's been a year since I blew Chloe's double life wide open. Looking back, it feels like I've lived 2 different lives, one where I was trapped, humiliated, made to feel like a ghost in my own home, and one where I finally broke free. Yeah, the betrayal cut deep. Watching the woman I loved choose strangers over her family, over me, broke something inside me I'll never get back. But you know what? That's not the whole story. Because the truth is, Chloe didn't destroy me. She exposed herself. And in the ruins she left behind, I found the space to rebuild. Revenge was satisfying, don't get me wrong. Seeing her humiliated at that family dinner, watching her star persona burn out under the weight of her own lies. I won't pretend that didn't feel damn good. But the real win wasn't her downfall. It was my rise. I'm a better dad now. A stronger man. I've built hobbies, friendships, even a new sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on anyone else's validation. My kids see me as the constant in their lives, the safe place. That's more than Chloe ever gave them. If you're reading this because you're in the same spot I was, here's my advice. 1. Get the truth. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't let them gaslight you into doubting your own gut. 2. Know your worth. Their cheating says everything about them, nothing about your value. 3. Don't be afraid to burn it down. Sometimes exposure is the only way to get free. 4. Rebuild for yourself. Pick up new hobbies, travel, laugh again. Life doesn't end with betrayal, sometimes it starts there. Chloe thought I'd never survive without her. Turns out I'm thriving. And she? She's just another ghost in a bar. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.